Let's go right into our crappy culture. All right. Well, speaking of God, I want to talk about the church that is currently my church. But there is now a move in the Episcopal Church. They are considering overhauling the Book of Common Prayer to take out gendered language when you talk about God. So when you refer to God, you will neither use the male or female pronouns, I guess, or any kind of reference to this. And this is one of the reasons I'm seriously looking for another church. I mean, there's an Episcopal church right at the bottom of my hill, and in LA, that's everything because of traffic. In LA, I mean, if there were a mosque at the bottom of my hill, I'd become a Muslim at this point, because of the traffic. But the Episcopal Church has lost its mind. Now, here's the thing. I tweeted about this over the weekend, and somebody responded, well, God is above gender. And of course that is true. God is beyond gender. We know this because he created male and female in his image, right? So it's not a question of God's nature. That has nothing to do with anything. It is a question of the language of the Gospels and the Bible and the Old Testament. The language that they use is gendered. So in speaking to our shallow, limited minds, the ultimate author of the Bible found it meet and right to refer to God the Father, to refer to the Father and the Son, to refer to, to use gendered language in referring to God. So the only question here, the only question being debated is who knows best, the Bible or the Episcopal Church? That is the only question being debated because, as Thomas Sowell was fond of saying, it's not what's right or wrong, it's who decides what's right or wrong. And if you are basically based on the Bible, if that is your sacred book, it might be that you should feel that the Bible knows better than you do. And it is part and parcel of this leftist idea that the world should be run from the top down, that the priests and the people, there used to be a joke in Episcopal churches, what separates the conservatives from the liberals in the Episcopal Church? It was the altar rail. In other words, the congregation was conservative, but the priests are liberal. But after a while, when the priests become so radicalized, when they become so unanswerable to their parishioners, when they become so unanswerable to their sacred texts, ultimately people walk away. The radicals in the Episcopal Church have turned this church into what used to be called the Republican Party at prayer. There are now fewer Episcopalians in America than Jews, and you cannot believe how few Jews there are in America. I believe that's right. I'm saying that from memory, but I believe that's true. However, there's going to be one less very soon because I find this intolerable. I find it intolerable that they look at the language of the Gospels. And by the way, this is not an isolated incident. I have been, when I travel around, I'll stop off into a church and take Mass. And I've gone into Episcopal churches in New York where the guy will literally preach against the gospel. He'll say, the gospel says this, but this is appalling. This can't be right. And you think like, dude, get another job. You don't have to be an Episcopalian. You don't have to be a priest. Just get another job. It's ridiculous to put yourself up as a priest of the gospel and preach against the gospel. To say that your language is better than biblical language is classic leftism because it is from the top. We are the experts. We are the elite. We know best. You will do what we say. And that's where you start to become violent towards your fellow man and start to characterize their disagreements as racism and sexism and all the rest. All right. This show went by very quickly, didn't it? Yeah. But tomorrow is another day, and we will be here tomorrow with a guest. Do we know who our guest will be?
That's going to be Matt Peterson from the Claremont Institute.
Oh, this is good stuff. This is about the administrative state and why it's so important, some of the stuff that Trump is doing and what needs to be done so you don't lose your freedom to some faceless bureaucrat idiot who comes to your house and declares your toilet a waterway so he can regulate when you use it. All right, we'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there. You be there. I'm Andrew Klavan. This is The Andrew Klavan Show. The Andrew Klavan Show is produced by Robert Sterling. Executive producer, Jeremy Boring. Senior producer, Jonathan Hay. Our supervising producer is Mathis Glover. And our technical producer is Austin Stevens. Edited by Emily Jai. Audio is mixed by Mike Cormina. Hair and makeup is by Jesua Alvera. The Andrew Klavan Show is a Daily Wire Forward Publishing production. Copyright Forward Publishing 2018.